Hello and welcome to UPSC Scholar. Today we'll be discussing the current affairs from 31st of July to 6th of August. We'll be covering it from the Indian Express newspaper and we'll be looking at it only from the exam perspective. So let's begin without any further delay. The first current affairs is from Polity. The National Capital Territory of Delhi Bill 2023. It has been in the news for all the good and bad reasons. For the whole last 1 week, there was a full, approximately 8 to 10 hours debate on this bill, and this bill has been approved by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. What this bill does is it gives the control of the services to the center via LG. LG is Lieutenant Governor, which is the representative of the center. So let's understand the chronology. This is the main crux of this bill. It has given the services control to the LG, the state government of the Delhi. It can't control the services, the transfer postings, and this all stuff. They can't control it now. So what happened was in May 2023, Supreme Court in a verdict gave the powers of the services to the Delhi government, except the public order, police, and land. But they gave the control of the services except these three segments. They gave the control to the Delhi government. They could control the transfer posting, they could control the services, anything they want. The services means A level services, A level officers, bureaucracy. Preferably it would be IS officers. So, but center then came up with an ordinance reversing the Supreme Court order and finally with a bill making it into the act this week. So this is not the first instance when the center has reversed this. ऐसा पहले भी हो चुका है बहुत बार. It has happened in 2018, 2017. If you remember, the Supreme Court in SC/ST Act gave the decision that if you have to arrest any government officer, you have to take the permission from its superior. And if you are filing a case against somebody under SC/ST Act, और अगर आप किसी के भी ऊपर FIR कर रहे हैं, तो first you should be conducting a preliminary inquiry. This all judgment was passed by the Supreme Court in 2018. But after a lot of hue and cry in the public, a lot of pressure groups occurred, and the government came up with an bill, and government came up with an amendment and totally reversed the Supreme Court judgment. So this has been one instance when the government has reversed the Supreme Court decision totally. The government said कि भाई किसी को भी superior की परमिशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. You can be directly booked even without a preliminary inquiry also. So they this totally reversed that Supreme Court decision. The second instance was the tribunal reforms that came during 2017. इसमें कुछ ऐसा हुआ था. I'm not telling you the full law, the full judgment, but उसमें ऐसा हुआ था कि government had something like collegium system जो अभी इस वक्त the I would say the clash that is happening between the Supreme Court and the government. The same happened in the Tribunal Reforms Act. The government had made a panel in which there were more of its representatives than being elected neutrally. So the judiciary it said कि भाई जो government है it is the main party है इस ट्रिब्यूनल्स में इन्होंने क्या लाया कि जो भी चेयरपर्सन है और जो भी वहाँ के हेड है वो दे विल बी इलेक्टेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि भाई गवर्नमेंट तो वहाँ की मेन पार्टी है, आधे से ज्यादा केसेस तो गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट होते हैं वहाँ पे. तो अगर वहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट के ही रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स बैठा देंगे तो ऑब्वियसली इट वुड अफेक्ट द डिसीजन मेकिंग. तो इस वजह से ट्रिब्यूनल रिफॉर्म्स एक्ट का सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जजमेंट को खारिज करा था, मगर द गवर्नमेंट केम अप विद द अमेंडमेंट अगेन एंड देन आफ्टरवर्ड्स इट अपहेल्डेड इट by a verdict favoring the government 2:1. So the matter is still pending to the court, but these are the few instances where the government has reversed the decision of the Supreme Court totally. And this GNCTD this bill, the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi bill, is one of that instance. What are the details of that bill? Now look at it. Lieutenant Governor will have the authority in the transfer and the posting of the services. Now he will be controlling all the officers in the National Capital Territory. There would be the formation of this authority, the National Capital Civil Services Authority. It will be headed by CM, but it will also have two more persons, but they will be the center's representative, the Chief Secretary and the Principal Secretary. And इस body का क्या काम होगा? It will give recommendations to the Lieutenant Governor for the transfer and posting of all the Group A officers. So CM just as a representative of the state government, but still the center can still overrule the decision made by the CM. सो स्टिल अगर 3 मेंबर भी हैं तो 2 वहां पर सेंटर के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है और एक जो है वो स्टेट का रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है. सो स्टिल द majority still remains with the center. So there are a lot of concerns around it. The first concern is, can you bring an amendment? Amendment तो ऐसा हुआ है कि पहले भी लाए गए हैं, but can you bring an amendment via an ordinance route? The second thing is federalism, federalism, and federalism. A lot of people, a lot of all throughout the debate, this was the main topic कि यहाँ पर जो central government है, it is not upholding to the basic structure of the constitution, that is federalism. फेडरलिज्म में तो यही होता है ना कि द सेंटर एंड स्टेट विल वर्क टुगेदर फॉर द बेटरमेंट ऑफ द कंट्री एंड दे विल लाइक कोऑपरेट विद ईच अदर. फेडरलिज्म इज अ वेरी वेल ऑयल्ड मशीनरी, जैसे किसी भी स्टेट्स में आपने देखा होगा वो रन करती है. बट यहाँ पर सेंटर का जो, एक मैं कहूँगा एक तरीके से जो स्टैंड है वो ये है कि द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ दिल्ली इज इलेक्टेड इन अ यूनियन टेरिटरी. तो ये लोग यूटी में हैं एंड इन यूटी देयर इज फुल कंट्रोल ऑफ द सेंटर. Center has the power to make laws on UT, and this has been an old practice until 2015. Center government has said that until 2015, until the Aam Aadmi Party government came, there were no fights regarding the transfer postings of the government. They were all being done by the center only. But since 2015, there have been a lot of clashes between the center and the state government, that is up. So that is why this is a very political matter. The central government are saying, and they are saying that they are restoring to the old practice which was happening since the independence. The third thing is, now bureaucrat can overrule the government. If a bureaucrat is being ruled by the central government, I don't think that he will be following the orders of the state government. If the state government is saying to go to the east, the bureaucrat might follow the best direction dictated to him by the center. So this is going to be a new thing. This is going to be the new problem. The fourth thing that is concerning is the political angle included with it, although it is not necessary for our exam, but we must be knowing the background of it. There is some Delhi corruption, Delhi liquor scam going on, and it is being inquired by the ED and the CBI, and the government is saying कि जब verdict आया था, the Supreme Court verdict came, जो वहाँ का सिविल, जो वहाँ का विजिलेंस डिपार्टमेंट है, वहाँ के lot of people, a lot of officers were transferred. Just and when the verdict came, a lot of officers were transferred by the state government, which gave them the right on the services. तो जो विजिलेंस डिपार्टमेंट है, द गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग यहाँ पर a lot of files regarding the liquor scam are being upholded. So that is why the government also wanted the control. But be there as it may be, we don't need to delve into the political details. The next thing is cooperative federalism. What opposition is saying, the government is infringing the rights and they are killing the cooperative federalism. Services are in the state list. आज तक आपने देखा होगा जो भी सर्विसेज होती हैं उनको स्टेट ही कंट्रोल करता है. They are always being controlled by the state governments. But the government, as I told you, the constitution has the power to make laws on any subject in the union territory, which is true. हर जगह गवर्नमेंट यूनियन टेरिटरी में लॉस बनाती है. And as Delhi is not a full-fledged state, it has been created under Article 239 to 242, as we all know, through the 69th Amendment Act. There is an article called 239 AA. The Parliament has the right to make laws on Delhi Assembly on any matter. This shares the power to the center also कि भाई आप कोई भी law बना सकते हैं. So this is it. These are all the concerns that I have shared with you all. And I've told you these are the two main aspects of the bill, and these are the concerns related with it. So if there will be any update, the Delhi government has said that we are going to challenge this act again on the Supreme Court. But जो हमारी history रही है, I think the Supreme Court might upheld it now this time. So let's see. The next thing is Jan Vishwas Bill. Jan Vishwas Bill has been passed by both the houses this monsoon season. And what does it proposes? It proposes ease of doing business by decriminalizing the offences in the 42 acts. जो small small act थे, जैसे कि इंडियन पोस्ट ऑफिस एक्ट, उसके तो सारे ही offences को remove कर दिया गया है. They have been decriminalized. There are a lot of acts like Boilers Act, Press and Registration of Books Act, the Indian Forest Act, the Drugs and Cosmetic Acts. इनके जो छोटे छोटे प्रोविजंस थे जिनकी वजह से कोर्ट्स में केसेस बढ़ रहे थे, the litigations were increasing. They have decriminalized the offences and rather introduced the penalties. They have converted the fines into the penalties. It will lead to less judiciary involvement to administer punishment. As we all know, our judiciary are heavily loaded, overloaded, and ये जो छोटे छोटे केस जाते रहते हैं उनसे और केसेस की वहाँ पे मात्रा बढ़ती है. तो इस वजह से you can directly pay the penalty amount and you will be relieved. You won't be any legal proceedings won't be continuing with you. So this was it. 42 acts है जिनके तहत ये हमें amendment करा गया. We don't need to look at all the 42 acts, but there is one concern. There is this Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So in which there are two provisions which are quite a concern because ये ऐसे provisions हैं इनका आपने फाइन को इनके खिलाफ जुडिशियल एक्शन होना चाहिए था, आपने इनको भी पेनल्टी में कन्वर्ट कर दिया है एज पर अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपर्ट्स. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. फर्स्ट लेट्स लुक एट द पहले हम ये देखते हैं कि क्या प्रोविजंस हैं. एक प्रोविजन है कि जो कंपनी गवर्नमेंट एनालिसिस टेस्ट रिपोर्ट्स करती रहती है ना, गवर्नमेंट डज अ लॉट ऑफ एनालिसिस ऑन देयर ओन. अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल से, जैसे आपने पतंजलि का आटा अगर देखा होगा, सो इट सेज कि गवर्नमेंट अप्रूव्ड and there is no adulteration in it, a lot of things. So companies using government analysis or test reports for promotion of their products, it is a crime. It is not allowed under Drugs and Cosmetics Act. But now it has been done कि अब ये पेनल्टी में आ जाएगा. ठीक है, आपने ये अमेंडमेंट करा. The second one is it it does the amendment and it's allow compounding of offenses for section 27. सेक्शन 27 क्या था कि कोई भी अगर इंसान अडल्ट्रेटेड ड्रग्स लीडिंग टू डेथ ऐसा बेचता हुआ पाया जा रहा है, अडल्ट्रेटेड मेडिसिन पाई जा रही हैं, या फिर सब स्टैंडर्ड ड्रग्स पाए जा रहे हैं, द सब स्टैंडर्ड ड्रग्स आर जो क्वालिटी को मीट नहीं करते हैं, तो उसके लिए भी आप सिर्फ चालान भरकर यू कैन गेट रिलीफ फ्रॉम इट. Although it is a very serious matter, if it is leading to death of somebody, the adulterated drugs, it is a serious matter. It should not have been included in it, but still it has been included by the government. Compounding of offenses, this term you must be knowing. Compounding of offenses is the thing कि आप rather than going to the court, rather than continuing with the legal proceedings, you just go for a challan. So this is it. So let's look at something into what are substandard drugs. You must be knowing this term. Drugs that are not of standard quality, they are also called as substandard drugs. And what kind of offenses could be compounded? See, here it is written. A drug being NSQ, which means not of standard quality, means it fails some of the requirement that are set by the Pharma Commission of India. As I told you, जैसे dissolution test है कि the rate at which a tablet or capsule releases the active ingredient in the body, or those that do not contain the full dosage of medicine as mentioned in the medicine cover. जो आपने मेडिसिन के कवर के पीछे लिखा है मगर वो डोज पूरी है नहीं. So an antibiotic containing only 30% of the active ingredient can lead to person's infection not getting treated. ये सब जो provisions मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, this one and this one, these are example of substandard drugs that does not meet the quality. The manufacturers of these companies, they have hailed this judgment, they have hailed this act. They said this is a good move and it prevents company from being stuck in litigation for years over minor offenses, and it also reduces harassment by the bureaucracy of the business owners, and getting imprisoned is also a very big deal in the society. So it will also reduce that. So this was it for as of now. Next thing is in IIT Madras, in order to prevent suicides, they are implementing a new facial recognition system. If you are active on social media, in last 3-4 months, you would have heard a lot of cases of suicide around the IITs. Not only IITs, in our field also in UPSC, we have heard a lot of cases of suicide and mental health issues that we all suffer from. And we all should be talking about it. There is nothing shy, there should be no shyness about it. There's nothing harm in discussing it. 3-4 महीने पहले मेरे ख्याल से, अगर आपको पता होगा, तो there was this case where this guy was racially discriminated in IIT Bombay, I think, if I'm not wrong. So there have been a lot of instances. We have seen the instances quota, and also in Delhi, there are a lot of instances where students get into mental health and this depression issues, and they take this lethal step, which should not be taken at all. So as per the report, 15 to 29 is the major age group, I would say, in which a lot of people does suicide, a lot of people commit suicide. And it is a very serious age, it is a very young age. So this is quite concerning. India has a National Suicide Prevention Strategy 2022, in which We aim to reduce the mortality rate by 10% by 2030. So this is our suicide prevention strategy. And अब हम आते हैं आईआईटी मद्रास में. इन्होंने क्या लाया है कि they have introduced a face recognition system. चाहे मेस हो, चाहे लाइब्रेरी हो, चाहे ऑडिटोरियम हो, चाहे प्लेग्राउंड हो, they have introduced this face recognition system to identify students that are absent for a long time, ताकि एक पैटर्न पता लग जाए. द कॉलेज हैज सेड कि अभी जो रिसेंट इंसिडेंट्स हुए थे उसमें बहुत दिन तक बच्चे अपने मेस में खाना खाने नहीं आए थे. दे डिडंट वेंट टू द क्लासेस, दे डिडंट वेंट टू द लाइब्रेरी. सो एक ये पैटर्न अगर पता लग जाएगा, सो इट विल हेल्प इन आइडेंटिफाइंग दिस स्ट्रेस एंड दिस पैटर्न कि इंसान जो है, जो बच्चा जो है वो स्ट्रेस से गुजर रहा है. एंड द सेकंड थिंग इज दैट ऐप विल आल्सो रिमाइंड द पेरेंट्स. देयर वुड बी दिस ऐप दैट विल रिमाइंड द पेरेंट्स टू टॉक टू देयर चिल्ड्रन ट्वाइस अ वीक. आईआईटी का एनवायरनमेंट काफी कॉम्पिटिटिव होता है. सो इन ऑर्डर टू नॉट कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद द स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ द कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस ऑफ द आईआईटी, देयर इज दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट दैट द पेरेंट्स should be talking to their children twice a week. अगर आप competitiveness कम कर दोगे तो obviously it would lead to fall in the standards of the IIT also. So this is it. I have added this suicide prevention helpline number. This is a really serious issue. We must be talking about it openly, and we must be aware of it. You should take a screenshot of it. And if anybody around us is suffering, we should be talking with this person. This is a very serious issue. We should be helping them to prevent from taking this serious step. So these are the helpline numbers. The next thing, Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023. This has been in the news all around the week for all the good and bad reasons again. The government had a very long and arduous route to get it passed with the parliament, but it has finally been passed this week. It was recommended by the BN Sri Krishna committee that was formed after the 2017 judgment of the Supreme Court KS Puttaswamy case, which said that right to privacy is a fundamental right. What does this DPDP bill does? It will tell how the companies use our personal data, how personal data will be used by the companies, the government, and how much control we as a general public of this country have on our data. It will empower citizens to have a greater say in their personal data, how their personal data is used, how it is collected online, how it is collected offline, and it is digitized. So what are the provisions of this bill? Let's look at into it. The first thing is right to exempt to government under circumstances like national security. ये provision तो almost हर act में हो गया है. We recently saw this Forest Conservation Act being passed recently, जिसमें ऐसा था कि आप 100 किलोमीटर तक border areas में forest काट सकते हैं without any environmental clearance. And it will also be happening in the pretext of national security. कुछ भी हो सकता है national security का मतलब. So we have got this right to exempt to government under these circumstances like national security. So next thing is establishment of a data protection board. It will be established by the center. The chairman will be holding the post for 2 years, and it will be monitoring all the compliances, the redressal, the directing, the data fiduciaries, all these complaints and all this thing related to this Data Protection Act. This will be handled by this data protection board. So center can also process the citizens' data without seeking their permission for national security reasons, as I told you above, and can also offer subsidies, benefit certificate. So this was the aspect that was like most criticized by the opposition, that why do you have given the special exempt to the central government? And the government response was like, ki, if there is a situation like emergency, the earthquake, if there is a situation of any national calamity, the floods, or even if the COVID-like situation arises again in the coming future, so will we be waiting to seek the permission from every citizen, or shall we be implementing the measures important to protect the lives of the citizen? So this was the center's stance. The next thing is the center can also block a entity's platform in the country if it is penalized more than 2 times. पेनल्टी काफी हार्श रखी गई है इसकी, 200 करोड़ एंड 250 करोड़ पेनल्टी. सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल ट्विटर, सॉरी एक्स, अब वो एक्स हो गया है, तो एक्स अगर 2 बार पेनलाइज हो जाए, आफ्टर हियरिंग द ट्विटर स्टांस, आफ्टर हियरिंग द एक्स स्टांस, द गवर्नमेंट माइट ब्लॉक अ एंटिटीज प्लेटफॉर्म इन द कंट्री, अगर आप 2 बार से ज्यादा पेनलाइज हो चुके हो तो. The next thing is data principle. This term is really important with the in context with this act, because they can obtain info about processing to seek correction and erasure of data, grievance redressal. Who is data principal? We as the citizens are going to be data principals. We can obtain कि हमारा data कैसे process कर रहा है, X कैसे process कर रहा है, Facebook, Instagram, they are how they are using our data, We can seek correction. We can also say them to erase our data from their servers. We can also file the grievance or file the complaints, ऐसे वो अभी भी होता ही है. So there was this right to be forgotten thing that was also said by the Supreme Court. तो वो यहाँ पर भी इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया. राइट टू बी फॉरगॉटन इज बीन गिवन इंपॉर्टेंस इन दिस एक्ट कि आप जब चाहें आप अपना डेटा इरेजर करवा सकते हैं. आप अपना सोशल मीडिया से पूरे होल ऑल ओवर थ्रू द इंटरनेट you can make your data disappear from it, and also from the court orders it happens, but there are a lot of circumstances when the private data get leaked. So these are the instances when right to be forgotten is used. The next thing was age of consent issue. देखिए जो हमारी लीगल कंसेंट ऑफ एज है दैट इज 18 years in our country, but center now can prescribe the age less than 18 for accessing internet services without parental consent. So the platform has to keep it in a very safe manner. अब जैसे कोई 16 साल के बच्चे हैं, 15 साल के बच्चे हैं, they can't be given the permission to access the internet. So उनकी आईडी नहीं बनती है, मगर now the center can prescribe the age lower कि 16 साल तक बच्चे भी एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, बट दैट वुड बी ओनली ऑन द स्पेसिफिक सेगमेंट्स, जैसे एजुकेशनल सेगमेंट हो जाएगा, हेल्थ केयर सेगमेंट हो जाएगा, दिस ऑल कंपनीज. सो एज विल बी वेरीफाइड एंड ऑल जो भी केवाईसी वगैरह होती है वो सब होगा, एंड टेक द कंसेंट फ्रॉम द लीगल गार्जियन, and then the age of consent can be relaxed. So this will be really helpful for the companies of edtech like an academy, Byju's, this all stuff, health companies जिनको data चाहिए होता है. So it will be like really helpful for them. They have also applauded this move. The next thing is cross-border data flows. So now there was this issue with the government कि भाई हम बाहर अपना data restore नहीं करेंगे. PUBG was banned. A lot of Chinese apps were banned because they were storing the data in the Chinese server. But now in this act, the government has said that data flows will be allowed to all regions unless blacklisted by government. Unless it is blacklisted by government, they will be allowed. अगर suppose government कहती है कि in China server the data won't be stored, उसके अलावा और जगह सब हो जाएगा because China will be blacklisted, Pakistan or wherever the country, irrespective. So government can also notify the platforms as significant data fiduciaries. This is also a very important term, as this was an important term, data principle. Same, significant data fiduciaries is a very important term. Seeing their impact of volumes of data, how are data, significant data fiduciaries आइडेंटिफाइड लाइक फेसबुक, व्हाट्सएप, यूट्यूब, एक्स, कि उनका वॉल्यूम ऑफ डेटा कितना है. व्हाट्सएप, फेसबुक, इस सब आप जो मेजर हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म भी ऑल नो द वॉल्यूम्स ऑफ डेटा दे सर्व ऑन इन अवर कंट्री. They have huge volumes of data, and it is very critical data also of citizens. Every citizen in our country has almost like one account in these all stuff. So that is why the significant data fiduciaries tag will also be given by the government. Now, the next thing is entities also need to protect this data, maintain the accuracy, and keep it secure. And they need to delete it once their purpose is met. So this is for this cross-border data flows. अगर कोई कंपनी बाहर स्टोर कर रही है तो it has to ensure that the data is ensured in a very safe and a secure manner. There should be no leaks. It should not get leaked away. And once, this is very important provision, that you need to delete it once your purpose is met. So this was the data protection bill. And there was one aspect, a new worry, could data protection bill could weaken RTI Act. So what is it? As I have already told you that DPDP bill जो है, it has a provision for stringent penalty of 200 crore and 250 crores on failure to take up the proper. मतलब वही है कि अगर आप इस बिल के लॉज और नियम को नहीं मानेंगे तो it might you might get penalized. You have to prevent a security breach. Now what is the RTI concern? करेंटली जो हमारा ये सेक्शन 81J एक्ट है, तो करेंटली वाया आरटीआई पब्लिक अथॉरिटी, कोई भी गवर्नमेंट की अथॉरिटी है, दे कैन नॉट शेयर पर्सनल इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ एनी ऑफिसर और एनी पर्सन ऑन टू ग्राउंड्स. ये पहला है कि डिस्क्लोजर विल हैव नो बियरिंग ऑन पब्लिक, कि अगर हम डिस्क्लोज करेंगे तो उससे कोई ऐसा पब्लिक में कोई हार्म नहीं होगा. सेकेंड इज, अगर हम डिस्क्लोज करते हैं तो उस इंसान की प्राइवेसी का इन्वेजन नहीं होना चाहिए. इट शुड नॉट लीड टू इन्वेजन ऑफ प्राइवेसी. द पर्सन शुड नॉट फील, जिसकी इन्फॉर्मेशन गवर्नमेंट प्रोवाइड कर रही है वाया आरटीआई, he should not feel कि भाई मेरी प्राइवेसी का वायलेशन हुआ है. So and unless it is in public interest, the government can also publish the information. But now what has been done is जो public information officer है, now it is upon him, and that he can not or he can just give the provide the data of that personal information, whether it is in public interest or not. He should not divulge the personal data of that person. So this was it. The next thing is 28% GST on online gaming and casinos, but review after 6 months. तो ये हमने discuss कर लिया already. I will attach a video here. In the previous video, I have already discussed about it. So the 28% GST after the review has stayed, and as the government has reconsidered the decision, showing the lack of trust in its policy making. आगे भी इस वीडियो में काफी ऐसे इंस्टेंसेस हैं जिसमें कि गवर्नमेंट ने फिर से काफी सारे डिसीजंस को रिकंसिडर करा है. वी हैड सीन दैट वंदे भारत, देयर वाज दिस थिंग, एंड वंदे भारत के जो फेयर टिकट्स को वापस लिया गया था. नाउ दिस 28% जीएसटी बीइंग रिकंसीडर्ड. द लैपटॉप इंपोर्ट्स बैन, पहले आपने एकदम से इंपोर्ट करा, एकदम से बैन अनाउंस करा, एंड देन अगेन यू अनाउंस कि नहीं, इट विल हैपन आफ्टर अ फ्यू, आफ्टर 3 months. It shows that there is a lack of trust in the policy making of the government. So now the government has said the 28% GST will stay. It will be reconsidered after 6 months, and now it is being implemented after 1st October, not immediately. This was it. The first casualty, as we had already discussed in the previous video, MPL has started to lay off 350 employees after 28% GST imposed. क्योंकि जब 28% GST लग रहा है, हमने पहले भी डिस्कस करा था, मगर एक बार और कर लेते हैं कि इससे क्या हो रहा है कि you have to pay more tax. It is leading to lesser your margins. आपके मार्जिन्स कम हो रहे हैं, it will lead to less profit to you, and obviously the investors would be demanding very high from you. So that is why MPL and these all stuff, अभी तो ये domino effect हो सकता है, maybe a lot of other firms also they might lay off. So this is it, these are the consequences of this decision. The next thing is, the government has advised, the government has set the deadline for the pharmas to adopt WHO standard GMP practices. What are GMP practices? They are good manufacturing practices. They are to be implemented from 1st of August. Uzbekistan, Gambia, even in US. So there were these cases in which our tonic and our medicines proved to be really fatal for the people there. And a lot of people died after consuming our medicines. So what are the GMP practices? Currently, the GMP practices यही होती हैं कि भाई आप all the procedure steps before manufacturing the medicines, they are being taken properly or not. और अगर हमारे वहाँ पर अगर 10,500 यूनिट्स हैं जो इसके प्रोसीजर और इसके एलिजिबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया में आती हैं, उसमें से सिर्फ 2000 ही जीएमपी को फॉलो करती हैं. सो इट इज क्वाइट अ कंसर्न. सो हु रिकमेंड्स जीएमपी? ऑब्वियसली डब्ल्यूएचओ, वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इट रिकमेंड्स जीएमपी. हु आर एलिजिबल फॉर दिस? नॉट एवरीबडी इज एलिजिबल. हर कोई छोटी मोटी फार्मा कंपनी नहीं. कंपनीज विद अ टर्नओवर ऑफ मोर देन 250 करोड़. टर्नओवर मींस सेल्स. आपकी अगर सेल्स एक साल में 250, एक फाइनेंशियल ईयर में 250 करोड़ से ज्यादा है, तो यू आर एलिजिबल फॉर दिस. यू हैव टू फॉलो द जीएमपी प्रैक्टिसेस. So recently there was this checking happened after this Uzbekistan and Gambia incident. Many firms failed raw material tests. Infrastructure was very poor at their manufacturing facilities. There were less qualified professionals. The poor testing condition. So this all led to the government making this deadline, making this GMP practices being followed compulsorily. So now, what are the new GMP guidelines? What they do is they increase check and balances. They increase the quality control measures. There should be proper documentation कि आपने हर एक स्टेप जो दवाई बनाते हुए लिया है उसका प्रॉपर डॉक्यूमेंटेशन होना चाहिए. इट शुड बी कंप्यूटराइज्ड. आईटी बैकिंग, देयर शुड बी आईटी बैकिंग ऑफ दैट. प्रोडक्ट क्वालिटी का रिव्यू होना चाहिए. इक्विपमेंट सही यूज होना चाहिए. वही है, मतलब दे शुड बी, एवरीथिंग शुड बी, चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस शुड बी really good. There should be computerized data management. So this is it. It will ensure that the quality medicines are being reached in the domestic market and abroad. Next thing is the Fitch, which is the global credit rating agency. It has downgraded the US debt from AAA to AA plus. These are the different rating agencies. तो अभी जो हमारी टॉप थ्री जिन्हें कहते हैं ना, they are S&P Global Ratings, Fitch and Moody. So they mainly help to retail invest and institutional investors with information, whether issuers of bond और जो भी आपने डेट लिया है, तो whether they will be able to meet their obligations. तो उस हिसाब से कंपनीज आपको एक टैग देती हैं कि this bond is AA plus, BB plus and this kind of stuff. They also provide information about country's sovereign debt, and these are the ratings that are being given: AA, BB, A. I have attached this one chart downwards on the slide. So why this has been downgraded? So recently we have all seen last month, in the May month or in the June month, I think, US debt ceiling was breached. The Fitch expects that there would be more fiscal deterioration and there would be more economic turmoil in the USA. And there is also the deterioration in the standards of governance in the USA, including fiscal and debt matters. Continuously 5-6 बार ये पता नहीं मेरे ख्याल से I'm not sure about the figure, but 7-8 बार जो डेट सीलिंग है वो इंक्रीज हो चुकी है. इट शोज दैट द स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ गवर्नेंस आर फॉलोइंग इन यूएस इंक्लूडिंग द फिस्कल एंड डेट मैटर्स. लास्ट मिनट में आपकी डील्स हो रही हैं, जो रिपब्लिकन्स हैं और जो डेमोक्रेट्स हैं उनकी लास्ट मिनट डील हुई. इट शोज दैट देयर इज नो ट्रस्ट बिटवीन द टू अपोजिशन, टू मेजर parties in the country, and there are standoffs. There are weaker revenues being reported, unplanned spending. Government is there are also a huge clashes in the Senate regarding the spending that has been happening on Ukraine. So this all shows lack of trust. So that is why Fitch has downgraded the US ratings. Although it is not much, एक ही point करा है, A थी तो उसको AA plus करा है. You will see it downwards. Here it is. So it means prime, high grade. So these all are it. S&P, Moody's, Fitch, I have attached it. तो जो US की थी, it was it AAA, and now it has done AAA plus. So this is it. You can see सबसे बुरी जो होती है it is CCC. This all stuff. हर कंपनी की, हर S&P, मूडीज, फिच, हर किसी की अपने अपने हिसाब से रेटिंग होती है. दीज आर द ग्रेड्स. नेक्स्ट थिंग इज व्हाट आर, या अगर हम बात कर ही रहे हैं तो ये हमारी, हमने ग्लोबल की तो बात कर ली. देयर वाज दिस क्वेश्चन आल्सो ऑफ यूपीएससी, आई हैव अटेस्टेड डाउनवर्ड्स. हमारी जो इंडियन रेटिंग एजेंसीज हैं हमें उनके बारे में भी पता होना चाहिए. क्राइसिल, आईसीआरए, केयर, सिबिल, एसएमईआरए, ओएनआईसीआरए, फिच रेटिंग इंडिया लिमिटेड एंड ब्रिकवर्क रेटिंग. ये क्वेश्चन भी आया था. So this is the question. You all would have seen it. Just try to answer it and answer it in the comments. I will pin the right answer on the comments. The next thing is India recently banned the imports of laptop. Government is keen to boost local industries. So we have recently banned the imports of laptop, PC, microcomputers, etc. What are the main purposes? What the government wants to achieve is we want to achieve domestic manufacturing. जो भी हमारे इंपोर्ट होते हैं लैपटॉप्स के, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पीसीस के, माइक्रो कंप्यूटर्स के, 75% ऑफ इट कम्स फ्रॉम चाइना. So we need to counter China also. That's why we are promoting the domestic manufacturing also. This is the graph that has been attached in the Indian Express. This is the our global, मतलब हमारे total imports हैं, और these are the our total imports from China. So almost it is two-third. In every graph you can see this is total imports and this is the imports of China. This is total imports. This is imports from China. So almost two-third is happening from China. एंड द थर्ड थिंग इज हमारी पीएलआई स्कीम भी चल रही है डोमेस्टिक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को लेकर, जिसमें हम लोकल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को प्रमोट करते हैं. वी नीड टू स्ट्रेंथन द डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्शन एंड स्ट्रेंथन द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सेक्टर. And the fourth thing is we need to push companies like Apple, Samsung, Acer to produce in India. अगर क्योंकि वो अभी भी बाहर से import करेंगे तो that will attract a lot of import duties और उनका market करेगा, because it will also lead to increase in the prices of the product and the people will not buy it. They will be buying more of the products that are manufactured in India, which won't attract any import duties. This is it. But as always, our government currently is quite indecisive. After a lot of hue and cry, the criticism and chaos, government relaxed the measures just after 24 hours. And again, I'm telling you again, it deeply showing the flaws in the decision making. Now it will be the ban will be happening from 1st of November 2023. Now, what does is this uncertainty in the policy making. This was also highlighted in the economic survey 2 to 3 years back. It affect our ease of doing business status. आप इतनी जल्दी डिसीजन, पहले तो आप ऐसे इंस्टेंट डिसीजंस लाते हैं और उसके बाद आप इंस्टेंट रिवर्सल भी ले लेते हैं, और इससे इससे काफी अनस्टेबिलिटी हो जाती है. इट डज नॉट फील्स लाइक दैट वी हैव अ स्टेबिलिटी इन आवर पॉलिसीज. सो दिस इज द थिंग दैट वी नीड टू लुक अपॉन. नाउ what we need to do is the firms need to get license from the government to import the laptops. So they will be getting license. Now this takes us back to the days of pre-1991 era when there was licensing Raj system. There was this famous words from our honorable prime minister that we need to have minimum government and maximum governance in our country. But this has led to reverse. Now there would be maximum government. There would be a lot of bureaucracy involved. When the firms will be going to seek laptop licenses, again there will be involvement of bureaucracy. So there will be more government and there will be minimum governance. More bureaucracy being involved, this might also lead to harassing of the companies or the manufacturers. So this measures leads to lack of trust by investors and the foreign company. So this needs to be looked upon. We need to be quite certain about our policy making. If we have taken any decision, then at least we should be standing upon it. We should be standing upon it, whether it is good or bad. Now we have taken a decision. We should not be backing upon it. After, no matter how much criticism you receive, you should be standing upon your policies. The next thing is, recently WHO report was published on the global tobacco epidemic. So what does it say? So there was this Empower initiatives taken by the WHO. It was a policy package intended to assist countries to reduce the demand of tobacco. 151 countries have implemented these measures, whereas 44 have not implemented any measures. What were these measures? These were the measures to protect people from the smoke of the tobacco, and it also offered the help to the people to quit to tobacco. It warned about the dangers of the tobacco. It enforced ban on the tobacco advertising, and it also raised the tax on tobacco products. So these were the measures that were recommended by the Empower. It were upon the countries to implement it or not. So 151 countries have implemented, although only four countries, Brazil, Turkey, Netherlands, and Mauritius, they have implemented all these measures that I told you. Here they are. They have implemented all the measures, but 151 countries have implemented these measures. They might have not implemented all the measures, but they have implemented some of the measures. So tobacco globally kills 8.7 million people yearly. And one more thing I found in this report was there was this term second hand smoking. What is second hand smoking? अगर आपके बगल में कोई cigarette पी रहा है, तो the smoke that you are getting from that cigarette is called second hand smoking. It needs to be curbed, and we need to create smoke free areas there. So second hand smoking also leads to 1.3 million deaths all around globally. So this is also a very serious thing, and so this were the major concerns of this report. It leads to very severe asthma, respiratory tract infections, sudden infant death syndrome, and these all stuff. So what about India? India is a country that has achieved the highest level of health warning labels on the tobacco products, and they also provide tobacco dependence treatment. So 85% of product in India, the most all around the world, the product of the tobacco is to be covered by the warning. You all would have seen it. There is toll-free number also written on it. India has also banned smoking in healthcare facilities and all the educational institutes all around India. It has also banned the e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes, you all might know that vapes and these all come. These are not like normal cigarettes, but they do contain nicotine and this all stuff, which can lead to diseases. The WHO report stated that there is a need to ban the loose sale of cigarettes, क्योंकि loose sale जो cigarettes की होती हैं उससे ये होता है कि the person who is buying it he does not gets to buy, he does not gets to read the warning on the product. Although we all know how much useful that warning is, but just for the government sake of purposes, this needs to be implemented. It was written here, and I told you. It means that they are not exposed to health warning and the quit line at all. So this was it. So the next thing is, government has tweaked the BharatNet project. It has cleared approximately 1.39 lakh crore for last mile broadband link. What was BharatNet project? BharatNet project was launched in 2015. It is a rural broadband connectivity program using optical fibers and to be implemented by Bharat Broadband Network Limited. It is a special purpose vehicle and it will be implemented by Ministry of Communications. Rural broadband connectivity के लिए है, and it is financed by Universal Service Obligation Fund. It was also established in 2002 by Ministry of Communications. It is a non-lapsable fund, means if the fund it is left in the one financial year, it was not spent fully, it will be added in the next year to spend it. The amount will get accumulated. What was the purpose of Universal Service Obligation Fund? It was for universal non-discrimination access to quality internet services at efficient prices. India का है ये fund. There is one global fund also. If you can name it, comment down, write down in the comments. So this was it. It is मतलब वही है USOF का जो use है. It is to access the quality internet at cheaper prices. What are the aims of this BharatNet project? It is to compete with operators like Jio and Airtel. क्योंकि Jio and Airtel जो होते हैं, जो private telecom players होते हैं, they don't operate much in the rural area. So here the government is trying to capture their market and trying to compete with Jio and Airtel, who are in the duopoly market as of now, because we is almost like it is almost dying. It does not have a substantial share in the market as of now. The second name is and to bring broadband connectivity to 2.5 lakh gram panchayats. So the next thing is village level entrepreneurs will be appointed these will be they मतलब उद्यमी जिनको कहते हैं हिंदी में, they will be taking the fiber connections to home on the revenue sharing basis of 50-50. The cost for taking the infrastructure to the home will be borne by the government, and the rural entrepreneur will only be just providing the services to the homes. So this is it, and the government has provided one more package. There are some more schemes you might be knowing. PM Vani for providing the broadband connectivity, public hotspots in the rural areas and the public areas. So these all stuff you should be looking upon it. The next thing is this was an editorial related to South Asia. South Asia is open for business. Recently हमने देखा है कि क्या हुआ है in India. The president, the prime minister of Sri Lanka has visited, Nepal has visited. So these all have visited, and there is a huge optimism about India's economic prospect all around. The Japan foreign minister has also visited recently. He also visited to Delhi, Colombo, Malé, and there was also a surprise visit by the French President Emmanuel Macron last week to help Sri Lanka come out from the crisis. It shows that how much eager France is to join the Indo-Pacific thing. We have discussed it several times in the previous videos. You can look at it. But there are two pessimistic discourses which comes while trading, while doing business in South Asia. The first thing is that the economy is very less integrated and connectivity is very less. Why? पहले से क्या होता था कि जो कंट्रीज थी दे गिव प्रेफरेंसेस टू इकोनॉमिक रिलायंस रेदर देन रीजनल इंटीग्रेशन. पहले की जितनी भी कंट्रीज थी साउथ एशिया रीजन की, उन्होंने अपनी रिलायंस को पहले ज्यादा देखा. दे ऑलवेज लुक्ड फॉर देयर इकोनॉमिक डिपेंडेंस rather than regional integration. We all know that how much war conflicted area it was pre 90s. There were war between India, China, India, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, means Pakistan only. So there were endless conflicts that gave less preference to cross-border trade. More preference was given to import substitution. The firms, the countries, they always opted for import substitution for their domestic manufacturing. And economic reforms were also uneven, also leading to political disputes sometimes. श्रीलंका के इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म्स लेट आए, इंडिया के इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म्स 1991 में आए. सो दीज वर ऑल द स्टफ तो जिससे कि ऊपर नीचे रहा काफी. The second thing is SARC. SARC is the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. It is inactive since 2014. 2016 में मीटिंग होने वाली थी मगर after Uri attack it has been stopped. No meeting has happened and it is just the process is right now at stale. The Pakistan is not in mood of agreements without bringing Kashmir on the table as we all know. But still चाहे वो नहीं भी आना चाह रहा हो टेबल में बात करने के लिए, ये कोई प्री कंडीशन नहीं है कि उसके बिना इकोनॉमिक रीजनलिज्म या इकोनॉमिक जो हमारी ट्रेड है वो बढ़ नहीं सकती. So now the author tells that how region is becoming more active in trade. See, the first thing is Sri Lanka and Pakistan really need to go with the economic reforms the way their country is in crisis. Although Sri Lanka is reviving slowly, Pakistan is still in very deep crisis right now. They have recently got IMF fund, and Nepal and Sri Lanka they are ready to go on trade with India. The Prime Minister visited India recently. India's growing economic muscle with regional partners, Bangladesh and Nepal, इन सब के साथ हमारे रीजनल ट्रेड्स बढ़ रहे हैं, इकोनॉमिक मसल बढ़ रहा है रिसेंट ईयर्स में. और नॉट ओनली ट्रेड, नॉट ओनली मर्केंडाइज ट्रेड इज नॉट इज हैपनिंग. देयर इज रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी, एनर्जी के ट्रेड हो रहे हैं. वेस्ट सिटी प्रोजेक्ट है. वी आर बिल्डिंग अ लॉट ऑफ सोलर पावर प्लांट प्रोजेक्ट्स इन श्रीलंका. पावर प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, ट्रेड प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं. हम यूपीआई लाने वाले हैं. नेपाल में यूपीआई ऑलरेडी है. सो दीज ऑल आर आल्सो गेनिंग प्रोमिनेंस. The third thing is there is escalated tensions between India and China, which is leading to growing partnership between India and West. India and France is also getting closer, and their regional and economic cooperation is getting increased. So this all can transform the subcontinent landscape. हमने recently देखा था कि जो नेपाल और इंडिया का जो मिलेनियम प्रोजेक्ट था उसमें यूएसए helped in granting a 500 million aid. So we need Sri Lanka is getting help by France and Japan. So South Asia region में काफी कुछ cook हो रहा है अभी. And recently we saw that Japan's foreign minister he visited Sri Lanka. He visited Mali as an it wanted to offer a viable alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative, which has been widely embraced in South Asia. So Tokyo and Paris have also joined hands with Delhi and it seems that it is an attempt to integrate Colombo's and Paris Indo-Pacific approach. So we all have listened it now, we all have seen it. So this is it. And if this all stuff happens as per the author, this could transform our subcontinent landscape. These are SAARC countries: Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. It has been inactive since 2014. The last meeting happened in Nepal, Kathmandu. The next thing is the story of Voyager, humanity's farthest foray into space. So what is Voyager? It was a mission by NASA. It was launched in 1977. It sent first two human-made objects, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 into space. So recently क्या हुआ था कि Voyager से उसका connection टूट गया था NASA का. So that's why it is into news, nothing much. And now NASA has restored the contact with Voyager 2 recently. So that is why it was in the news recently. Why was Voyager launched? It was launched to explore far planets like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Now this is the thing that we need to learn कि ये जो हमारे इस तरफ के टेरेस्टेरियल प्लैनेट्स हैं, मरकरी, वीनस, अर्थ, मार्स, इन सबको एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए नहीं था. इट वॉज टू एक्सप्लोर द फार एक्स्ट्रा टेरेस्टेरियल प्लैनेट्स लाइक जुपिटर, सैटर्न, यूरेनस, नेपट्यून. तो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. What are some features of Voyager? Voyager में एक टाइम कैप्सूल है. It has a time capsule in which there are like a lot of different languages में हमने हेलो हाय जो कम्युनिकेशन के मैसेजेस होते हैं हमने वो स्टोर कर रखे हैं कि अगर कभी ये कनेक्शन टूट भी जाता है और ये किसी और एक्स्ट्रा टेरेस्टेरियल लाइफ को मिले या किसी एलियन जो भी ये कहते हैं इसको मिले तो इट माइट इंटरसेप्ट द प्रोब्स इन द डिस्टेंट फ्यूचर. उनको पता लग जाए कि ये क्या चीज था. It contains a map of our solar system's location, a number of encoded images, and a lot of greetings in the like 55 different languages. So this is it. It has also discovered the moons of various planets. Voyager 1 has helped in discovering the moons of various planets. How does the Voyager get its energy? There are small nuclear reactors in it. Through plutonium pellets, it gets it gets its energy. The nuclear reactor starts the works in that. It gives energy to the Voyager. So this is it, and it has also helped in exploring in finding the great dark spot. It is a huge spinning storm in the planet's atmosphere. So this is it. This is how Voyager looks like. This is it. और जो हम कह रहे थे ना कि वो प्लूटोनियम डिस्क है, it is this one. The next thing is ISRO rocket debris in Australia. What are the rules governing the space junk? Recently जो PSLV रॉकेट हमने जो सैटेलाइट्स लॉन्च करी थी, चंद्रयान नहीं, जो हमने PSLV रॉकेट लॉन्च करा था उसका जो डेब्री है, इट वाज फाउंड इन द ऑस्ट्रेलियन वेस्ट कोस्ट. सो द डिस्चार्ज पार्ट जो होता है ना, इफ यू हैव सीन द रॉकेट, इट इज समथिंग लाइक दिस. तो उसके साथ में जो लगे होते हैं, सो व्हेन इट गेट्स लिफ्टेड अप, ये सब निकल जाते हैं एंड दे फेल इनटू द ओशन. पहले वो एटमॉस्फेयर में जल जाते हैं एंड द रिमेनिंग पार्ट इट फेल्स इनटू द ओशन. So the discharge part usually gets burned while dropping back and it falls into ocean. I've told tell you. So there are many instances. If you remember during the COVID times, there was this news that in 2021, Chinese rocket is falling back into the Indian Ocean. It fell into the Indian Ocean. There was 1979 जो अभी ISIS इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन है, तो उससे पहले जो स्काईलैब स्पेस स्टेशन था, it also fell into Indian Ocean. They are indeed threat to marine life and pollution. एंड आउटर स्पेस ट्रीटी जो है इसको गवर्न करती है. देयर इज कन्वेंशन फॉर डैमेजेस विच मेक्स लाइबिलिटी कंट्री टोटली रिस्पॉन्सिबल इफ देयर इज एनी लॉस एट ऑल. अगर इंडिया का ये जो पार्ट है ये कहीं ऑस्ट्रेलिया की किसी सिटी में फेल होता तो ऑब्वियसली इंडिया वुड हैव बीन हेल्ड रिस्पॉन्सिबल एंड दे वुड हैव पेड द damages फॉर इट. So this was it. There is nothing much in this, and so this was it for the video. Thank you for listening. I know there has been quite a delay this time. Sorry for the delay. I'll be back with the next video very soon. Thank you for listening.